All right, everyone, we're gonna bring it in here. All right, we're gonna focus on this stuff here because, okay, we're talking meetings. My name is Ryan Howe with Summit Business Guides. I am a business consultant that works with executive teams on building businesses that grow faster than they ever thought possible. That's the tagline, right? We gotta have that. I'm a certified exit planner, so I help businesses get ready to sell. It's one of the biggest things that I work with my clients is trying to get them to understand the importance of the work that you're doing, and it's perfectly fine. If you wanna build a business that is just a job for you for 30 years, cool. There's a lot of folks that do that. They just, they liquidate at the end of it, put up a little close sign, and then they move on down to Florida and stay warm. Perfectly fine. But if you want to build something that you eventually want to sell, which most of you here, I'm assuming, are building businesses that you'd like to sell, there's an awful lot of work that goes into that, because there are companies out there that can generate a lot of revenue for the owner that no one wants to buy. And that's where you really need to understand those differences are there. And part of that has to do with meetings, which is why we're gonna talk about the L10 meeting. But first, a little bit about me. So you're like, okay, beyond the fact, like, who the heck's this guy up here talking? I was in the Air Force for almost 21 years. I had 4 different jobs that I worked in the Air Force. The last one that I did, though, for the last 10 years was in procurement. When I got out, I moved to Portland, Maine with my wife, but I landed at the Holy Donut. It is one of the top 10 gourmet donut shops or basically donut chains in the country. We sell like $5 donuts. They're made out of potatoes. They're fantastic. Wow. But that's what, very wow. Like, they're so good too.
How many locations are there?
There's 5 now. There was 3 when I got there, and when I came in, my job was to come in and help them get ready to grow. And one of the first things that I identified when I was put in charge is I got rid of every single meeting that they were doing. And what we implemented were versions of what I do with Pinnacle, which is what I gave you a copy there. That's the Path to the Pinnacle. It's the business operating system that my clients use. But business operating systems are great. You have them. Every one of you has a business operating system in your company. It is what you've designed ad hoc to deliver the exact amount of revenue and the exact amount of margin you currently have. That's your business operating system. If you would like to have one that runs better, there's options out there. That's all I'm saying. But okay, enough of that though. But the underlying principle that we have when we talk about business operating systems are the rhythms. There's a method to the madness. And what we operate under are meetings. You are meeting people. You love meetings. I know you don't think you do, but you love them. Why? What do you get out of meetings?
Information.
We love information. That's right. We may have talked earlier. Meetings exist to close communication gaps. If you're having a meeting, why are you having your meeting? Right? Because you need to know something, right? Or other people know things. So what's happening? You're closing that communication gap. There's a few foot stomps I want you to take out of here. There's quite a few. But I work in axioms. I like to really just bare minimum stuff. Like, for instance, neat and tidy is an axiom that all of my clients use. What do I mean by that? Is it neat and tidy? Is your work neat and tidy? Does that presentation look neat and tidy? Is the office neat? And if it's not, guess what? Fix it. So people have to think, right? But when it comes to information systems, it's the same thing in your meetings. Your processes have 2 functions. One is to do actual work, to get stuff done. And then they also are supposed to give you information into your information system so you know that stuff's done, so you can do your invoicing, so you can get paid, so you can know if people have quit and you have to hire folks. There's information flow that occurs because of your natural processes in place. So if you're having meetings because you aren't getting that information, your processes are broken. And I think you're all like, well, no doubt, Ryan, we know part of the reason we're doing this because we're trying to figure out our processes. But the issue that you run into, and all my clients, we all run into this when we first start. It's okay. You guys want to fix things because your people want things fixed. I want you to fix things and then at the same time, get your information flow fixed. So you know if your fix worked or if it sucked. Because right now, when do you find out if there's a problem? At a meeting, or when somebody finally gets angry enough to mention it to you. We want that information flowing up to you to the point where you're like, oh, it just keeps coming. And you're like, yes, shower with it. We love information. But with that, your L10 meetings are designed to help you structure your overall process. So who's heard of L10 meetings, right? Okay, some of us here, but level 10, they're just awesome. That's what we talk about. We want these meetings to be dope. And it's a weekly meeting when we talk about an L10 meeting. This is your weekly, the phrase that we use is our tactical meeting. You're in to have a discussion about the most important things for the next 7 days in your company. Like, this meeting is for the next 7 days. Because 7 days later, what are you doing? Have the same meeting again. So we just want to get to the next meeting. That's the rhythm, when we talk about those rhythms. So it's the most important thing. So if someone comes into this meeting and they're talking about something from a month from now, really? Do we need to be talking about this in some way, shape, or form? Maybe, and we've got a structure for it. But it doesn't usurp stuff that is more important the next 7 days. That's what I just wanted you to keep in mind here, okay? All right, so let's talk about the purpose here. Got my notes too, guys, just make sure I have this. So purpose, alignment, ensures everyone knows their priorities and goals. We want to make sure we have alignment with meetings, but also when we talk about those priorities, remember what I said, the next 7 days. So they're already got that mind, it's in their mindset. I need to make sure if I'm talking to people, I'm bringing up stuff that's actionable, things that we need to know. The same thing with goals, which we're going to get into. Focus keeps them right on track and needs to be done. Accountability. And we're going to talk about the different sections and the way that I want you really looking at your meetings, because there's 2 distinct sections to an L10 meeting and basically all of your meetings. And we're going to get into that. It's going to be cool. And then problem solving. We love problem solving. We love having the team there to problem solve so we don't have to figure it out. And who's better to figure things out? You, who's in the office doing things, and we talked about earlier, let the folks that are doing the work come with solutions. I like that much better when I was a worker. I was like, yo, I got an idea. Let's do the thing. And the boss, if they said, yeah, do the thing, I was like, this is great. I love that.
It's the thing.
Yes, this is what we want. Instead of, hey, do that. Dude, that isn't going to work. Don't care. All right. Still isn't working. I did what you told me. And then they're upset about it. So we want to have that the other way around, right? And how do we do that? Information flows up. Here's a better way. Now with that, how much are you spending on your meetings? How much does your meetings cost you? Do you guys know how much your weekly meeting costs you?
For just your office, for like our level 10 for our office team.
Your weekly meeting, do you know how much that costs?
Yeah.
Do you have that written down? Is it on the meeting agenda? Is it there saying we are spending $1,547.32?
But it's a fantastic idea to look at that.
Every meeting should have a dollar value assigned to it.
That's a great point.
And trust me, especially when you have your younger staff comes in and they see the meeting agenda and they're like, what's this number up here? It's like, that's what we're investing in time, overhead, resources, pulling you out of here, lost productivity. That's the calculations I want you looking at. Very similar to what we were talking about with turnover, right? There's a turnover costs. When she said 200%, I was like, yes, give me more of that. We love that. Fully trained, it's about 200% of their salary to get that. It's insane. But for your meetings, so if you're having death by meetings, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to say to your team, do I want to spend $1,500 to talk you through this thing every couple days, every couple weeks, or would I rather invest in another meeting that we figure out the process to get that return on capital that I can then invest somewhere else? When you guys, especially when you're up here in a management position, you need to find a way to quantify everything that you do with dollars. Everything you do needs to have a dollar associated to it, including your meetings. When you are looking at whether you want to take on a client, do you just do it out of vibe and feel? Yeah, you all math that out, right? Y'all math that out. Why are you not doing it for yourself and your time? Okay? The other side too is that when you do it this way, it adds a level of professional courtesy back to your teams. To say, this is what I'm investing. They understand and they know, but also, and that word, professional courtesy, find a way to work that into your vernacular. It's professional courtesy. This is what we're investing to be able to talk and work and make your work life better for you and your teams. That's the idea you want to have. All right, so with this, L10, same day, same time, same structure. Now it'll evolve over time on the structure as you get better at it and you decide what really works well. But you want to have the same day, the same time, and the same structure for as long as possible. And why is that? So folks can plan. Last minute meetings, hey, get in here, I want to talk about this. Listen, owner, just because you've been thinking about it for 2 days doesn't mean that Sally has been. Sally's like, idea? I haven't thought about that. Again, professional courtesy. Hey, I want to talk about this. Good for you. Give your there's a time for this. We do it in this meeting, and this is the time and the place that we do it. It gives people time to process the information. What good is it to have your subject matter experts and grab them and talk to them if they haven't had the opportunity to let their gray matter do their thing and be able to give you a solid response to the question that you're asking? It's okay to give people time to think about stuff, guys. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a neat thing. Also, when you share that information with other people, guess what they're going to do? They're going to think about it so you don't have to.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. I think we talked about that too. Yeah, we love caring. It's our favorite. All right, so let's talk about the structure of the meeting. I didn't put it in here because I want to be able to bring it up this way. There needs to be a segue. You guys, icebreakers, right? Hey, here's this thing going on. Let's talk about this. This interesting note. What was your favorite movie as a kid? Or what did something people don't know about you? Whatever those little icebreakers you have. Regardless of the level of continuity with your team, if you've been together for 10 years, it doesn't matter. You need to have a way to segue from work, action, operations, problem solving, caring. Right, you're going to care in the meeting too, but you know what I'm saying. We talked about caring last time. To transition and turn your focus to meeting mode. Don't expect people that you can't just, it's meeting time. No, it's segue time. So take 5 minutes, ask the dumb questions, laugh with each other, and then you transition into meeting. If you, I promise you, if you record your meetings and if you don't have a segue and you open your meetings, the first 15 minutes of your meetings are probably garbage. You don't really get anything quality out of there because people are settling in. They're getting their coffee. They're rebel, things going on. Rambling, holding up paper, saying, "Look at me!" Right? We don't want that. We want that taken care of in the segue. Okay? No, because you're getting rid of it, right? See, we're good. We're good. We're good. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But
encourage for some more.
That's what I'm saying. You can do it. All right. So segue. It's an important part of this meeting because this is the most important meeting you're having that week for the next week in your company. So you want to make sure everybody's locked in, and the segue gives them time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions over what I've been just going 50 miles an hour on this thing, but that's kind of how I talk about meetings. Any questions? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Well, let's segue. I'm not going to ask about your childhood. We're just going to pretend that we did that and move on to this piece. To this first portion of the meeting. Now, this meeting is broken up into multiple pieces, right? You see that? However, there's even further clarification or grouping I want to say here. We're in reporting mode. When you open this meeting, it's reporting mode. Do you guys know what I mean by reporting? People.
We're telling and not discussing?
Yeah, absolutely. You're just saying words. We're not discussing. There's no deep diving during these parts. You're just reporting. It is headlines. That's why we say it here. It's not investigative report. It's headlines. The first few parts of this meeting are just meant to close communication gaps. That's what you're doing. So let's look at the first one here. Start the meeting with a score. Each team rates the previous week on a scale of 1 to 10. Right? So we are structure of the meeting, number 1. We good? Okay, no problem. Yeah, please speak up so I typically try to coach linear. But I mean, I'm going to be all over the place at times too. So, because I'm going to have the good idea fairy's going to pop. I'm like, yo, let's chase that idea for a second. So, all right. So with that, we're going to start with the score 1 to 10. What I don't want you to do is ever have an odd number. We don't want to have one. If you change the score, say you don't want to do 1 to 5. Okay. We want to have even Steven number. We don't want to be a point where someone can say it's in the middle. So we typically do 1 to 6. So it's either a 3 or a 4. So it kind of sucked or it was kind of good. Never, it's okay. We don't like okay. We want to be able to say, it was more bad or more good. Preferably, we want to hear some 6s, right? Nobody wants that. We want feedback. Okay, anyways. And again, you just go around, get the numbers. If people want to provide a little bit of input, they can, right? Because they're just explaining why. They're just reporting. You're not chewing each other up. You're just taking the numbers, putting the information down. You want to rate your meetings. It's a feedback function. We talked about feedback in the previous piece with communication. Every single thing you do should have a feedback function associated with it. Okay, there's a foot stomp. Everything should have a feedback function. Discussions on why the scores weren't a 10, again, helps to identify the issue. Just, hey, why didn't it get there? And if you're living in 10s on your meetings, y'all aren't pushing hard enough. I just be clear about that. I had like 3 10s in a row, because my teams, they send me their meetings, their meeting minutes. I get them every single week. They roll in, and I need to stay abreast of what's going on. And I saw 3 10s in a row from this one team. I showed up the next week. I was like, yo, I'm here for the meeting. They're like, oh. And it's because they lost their focus a bit. So I pushed them a little harder, and then they were much more critical on what they got from the previous week. All of a sudden, a 7 showed up. I was like, well, look at that. We got 7s. There was something to say. Okay. Next is going to be a review of last week rocks. Do you guys use rocks? Is that something you guys are familiar with? Again, they're just your quarterly priorities is the way that we coach them. It could be your longer term stuff too, but quarterly is where they live at. Quarterly is the rhythm that we really want you guys thinking about. Your entire year is broke up in quarters. I want to be able to get this stuff done. You can do it by season, right? Because you have all seasons, right? All right, available, right? See, yeah, I did that there. Yeah, I'm here for you. All right, but you want to talk about your rocks. And the thing with your rocks, you see how it's just a few minutes, right? We got all these things going on, right? If you're doing a bunch of stuff, you're doing your rocks wrong. Like my large companies, I have a law firm that has offices around the country that I work with. They have quite a few folks. We might do 2 in a quarter, 2 rocks. Because I got you, but 2 rocks where these projects are, depending where they're at, but you guys have work to do too. The number one problem that most of the companies that I come and work with is y'all try to do too much. Mm-hmm. This is the year of don't do much. We're saying no this year. It's all about no. We love saying no. It's our favorite thing. We're not doing that this year because we're going to get these 3 things done really well and wrap a bow on it, and we're going to be happy we only did 3 things this year. What you got?
Are rocks goals?
So rocks are projects. So thank you for asking. So rocks are projects that, and in the book, The Path to the Pinnacle, there's an entire section on rocks so you can understand, but they are projects where you are going to assign resources. It's going to be people, equipment, maybe capital, and time, right? We all love that. And each one of those goals, those rocks, are going to be assigned to your annual plan and your long-term strategic plan. Now, those are the things that I work with my teams on. We will work on a quarterly project knowing that it won't really bear fruit for 2 years. It's something that'll be in place. It needs to sit and spin and do its thing. But we're thinking 2 to 5 years down the road. We're just checking things off the list that's freeing us for other things, okay? So that's what rocks are like. But those are your projects. They take a while to kind of get in the swing of things, but really you just want to know, where am I at on these projects? So when you guys are doing your meetings, this is just information flow. Here's what I did last week. Here's what I'm doing this week on my project. If there's anything to discuss, there's a whole other section for that. Like if you need help or you're stuck somewhere, we're going to talk about the list. List is our favorite. For those that do L10s and this type of thing, we love the thing called the list. It's our favorite. Love it. Okay, so if you need to discuss anything on here, it goes on the list. Okay, and we'll get to it later. All right, let's move to the next spot here. Headlines. Headlines, 5 minutes. Y'all, and by the way, we have timers for these. Somebody is responsible for the clock and tells people to shut up. We're moving to the next spot. And here's the thing. I want to make sure I preface this, and I didn't do it at the beginning. I normally do it a little bit later, but I'm bringing it right now because all y'all were just like, wait, I can only do 5 minutes on this? But what about the thing, or the other thing, or this or that? What I want you to look at this hour and a half that you're going to have for this meeting. 1 hour, 90 minutes. Everyone knows to come prepared for this meeting. They're ready to go at this meeting. Guess what they have scheduled for 91 minutes after you start? Work. They have their job to do on this side of the meeting. You need to start and stop your meeting exactly on the time that you have because they have plans to do things, maybe with your people, whatever it is. It doesn't matter because it's not in that meeting. So stick to the time, professional courtesy. You're responsible for this meeting. Get the thing done in 90 minutes. Again, the law firm that I have, it's many multiples of millions that they're bringing in, all of their people. They get done in 90 minutes. Did they get there the first week? No, it's taken us a while. I've been with them for a few years. But now they're going, and they have other stuff scheduled directly after this. And if they get to a point where they're running late, people have carte blanche to get up and walk away. Because they're working with customers, they have their team members, they have other folks. They get up and just walk out or unzoom, click, and go away. And that means the owner, basically the leadership team, they have to answer for that, why they weren't able to get stuff done. So just keep that in mind, and it's accountability on the leadership team. So,
do you have
Jell's
any
fault.
suggestions on how to ease the anxiety that comes from not finishing things that are on your IDSs?
Do less.
Okay.
No, so you're like, damn it, Ryan. Okay, but that's what it is. It really is. So every year, I just went through an annual with one of my clients. I said, bring up the list. And it was like the magic scroll. It rolled out this huge thing. And I'm like, what? No, get rid of 80% of that. How long has this been on? And you'll know how long it's been on the list. And they're like, well, if it's been on for more than 3 weeks, why is it on here? Y'all can't make a decision on something in a month? What are you doing in this meeting? Like, are we cooking? What's going on here? And so we clear out, we just get rid of it. Stuff just falls off the list and get rid of it.
So specifically, like our LTAT on Tuesday.
Yep.
It's all the stuff that it's new. It's not something that keeps staying. But we finished our meeting on time, and the one girl's like, but we have 3 things left to discuss. And I said, well, I guess it's
perfect.
Next week.
And here's the thing, if it's on there and just move it to next week, it's fine. If it's not the most important things, that's why we rate things when we get to the list, like we rank order them. It's okay if it takes 2 weeks to talk about something, because if it was on fire, you would have talked about it. It's okay, it can go a week. And if it's really, and you feel it's that important, schedule another meeting. But that meeting is done in 90 minutes. If you need to schedule another meeting, but guess what you're gonna do? What's gonna be up in that corner? Y'all gonna put some money on this thing. I wanna feel it. Be like, oh, get out the wallet or the purse or the card, whatever y'all use, write a check if we still do those things, the big book, right? And say, here, this is what I have to invest because I wasn't able to get this done in this meeting. See what I'm saying? Like, that's your feedback function. That's letting you know what you have to invest. Everybody good? I know you're like, oh, it's okay. It takes time. This isn't like next week. You're like, man, we got this. Like, it doesn't work that way. Because you have an entire team you have to train. You all have to train. You all have to be okay with just not doing stuff. This entire group, you are in this room because you do things.
So many things.
You do things. I'm giving you permission right now not to do things. If it's been smoldering for a week, right? Something's been on fire, it's a light smolder, toss another log on, get to it next week. It's okay. Now, if the structure's on fire, we're gonna have a conversation, but it's okay. You can just, it's all right. Just keep, warm up. It's fine. It's okay. Okay? I'm giving you all permission to not have to worry and fix everything all at once. It's perfectly fine. Okay? Y'all like, Ryan's lying. I'm not lying. It's okay. I promise you. It's okay. Everyone in the back too. It's really cool back there. Y'all don't do anything. It's great. Okay. All right. Next spot here is going to be, all right. So we headlines. Members share key news or updates are relevant to the team. Again, we want good news. We want bad news. We want meh news as long as it is relevant to the team. Relevant to the team. And you guys get to decide what's relevant. Some of y'all may want to hear about someone's kid having the sniffles that's on the team.
Oh my God.
I didn't, listen, if it's got PTSD, I apologize. We got basically we got Central Michigan Mental Health is right over here. We can take care of you. But I'm not trying to trigger that, but if that's okay for you, then do that. However, look at the rest of the team and look at this dollar value and be like, is this really something that we should be accepting as a headline from our team? And how do we make sure that they're only bringing the stuff that matches up with the dollar value? We coach our players, okay? Yes, ma'am.
How is this headline different from the customer employee headline?
So we are talking high level these headline pieces here. And that's what I mean. There's gonna be a differentiator. There may be customer stuff. Who here, again, we just heard someone say, I'm not gonna get rid of one of my A players because of a bad customer review, right? Because that's not high level. That's just Mike was grumpy that day and wrote a bad review. High level is, I had someone quit because of that bad review. Oh, hold on. Why did they quit instead of talking to us and give us an opportunity to support? That's what I mean. Like that would go in, they'd be like, hey, we want to talk about that, send that to the list. Right? So that's where you're picking stuff off there, high level. Does that help answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I got you. I love questions. They're my favorite. All right. So that's when we're talking about headlines. Just come through. And here's what's great. If y'all only have 3 headlines, you get 3 more minutes back. Cool. We love that. But 5 minutes. Timer goes off. We're done. On to the next spot. What's that?
I was thinking there were only 5 people in this meeting, and I'm like, one minute per person, but that's not. It depends. Yeah.
So here's the thing with your folks, if they come to you and they have 4, 5 really important things to talk about, like they want to, coach them up and say, listen, we can only tell us the most important. Everything else goes on the list. And as a team, we'll look at it and see if it's something we got to decide. Don't tell them just to be quiet. Just throw it on the list. And then you can decide, should it even be on the list? That's what you're going to do with the list later. That being said, we got to have a time to go through and delete the list. Like that's the other spot. It doesn't just be a repository. Go 3 weeks and you don't talk about a number 6 on the rating. Get it out of there. Should be somewhere else. That's not meant to be for this team. Okay, scorecard review. KPIs. So everybody knows key performance indicators, right? I say kept promise indicator. Like that's how we operate, right? And it's just a little play on words, right? And I am actually a softie in certain things. This is one of them. Kept promise. So how well are we doing on our scores from our clients? Are we delivering on what we're promising to them? What does it look like on our employee scores? Turnover rate is something that I have all my clients look at every single week. Just take a look at turnover. If it doesn't move that much for you, that's fine. And you get to see a big, ugly red number for a while. I want to inspiring you to do more better, right? That's what we want, right? And it's okay to see not good numbers. We just want to see the truth up there. But whatever your KPIs are, think of them as a promise that you're making, especially within your teams. If they're not meeting the standard consistently, means you're not delivering on your promise to train them. So when it comes to y'all right here, leadership folks at the top, your responsibility is to organize, train, and equip your teams. That's what you owe them, to organize, train, and equip them. If they are not getting their job done correctly, are you not organized correctly? Is the training wrong? Do they not have the right equipment? I was listening to a podcast earlier today about true crime stories, if I remember correctly. Yeah, right. And about the apron showed up and the difference the apron made. I didn't really, I got a cursory understanding, but that equipment piece made a huge difference with the team. Organize, train, and equip. You had to train them how to use it. You gave it to them, and now it's part of the structure. You will have this. If you think about that box, those boxes, every time you're having an issue, that's where it falls into. Okay? It'll help you think a little bit better. And guess what? All of those have a cost associated with it. They've got dollar signs. They're not cents, it's dollar signs. We all know that. Okay, but again, your KPIs, whatever you have, whatever you track will improve. That's kind of the standard operating procedure, why you have KPIs. If you track it, it will improve because it's a focus. Anything that you're not paying attention to, what do you think, how well do you think it's spinning in the back? You think it's working out well? It's got a bunch of slack in there somewhere and you're losing margin because you're not tracking it. Happens every time. That being said, we don't need 47 KPIs. High level, the things that have an immediate impact on you and the levers and pulleys that you can adjust and manage from your space, okay? But again, we're still reporting, folks. Let's say we've been green, whatever green means for you, in this KPI for turnover. And all of a sudden you come into the meeting and there's this big red blah on turnover because you lost 3 people. Well, we are not talking about it. If we'd like to, where does it go? To the list. You're just reporting red and everyone's like, oh crap, this is gonna be like a number 1 on the list. We're gonna have to talk about what happened, which is fine because you wanna talk. Because what's the purpose of meetings? They're closing communication gaps. There's gonna be people look and say, why is that red? We're gonna answer it in the list. We're gonna talk about it down there, okay? The other question is like, why didn't you see this earlier? Why is it just people noticing this here? Shouldn't it exist somewhere that people can see as it's happening in real time? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, y'all should do that if you're not doing that. That's what I'm saying. Okay, all right. I had a guy for that. He was me. I updated those things. I got the information and I updated it in the mornings. Pushed it out in dashboards to my general managers around all my stores. I wanted them seeing those things. Like, this is green over here. We love these donuts. This one is yellow. We are not happy with these donuts. Let's get that fixed and give them a chance to do their thing. All right, we're continuing here. Customer employee headlines. This is for the back. This is what we're talking about. Let's get some good news. Let's get some bad news. Let's get some bad news, whatever it is. Let's just hear what we got going on with customers and employees. I also add vendors in here. If you have people that service you for whatever reason, I also include vendors in this. They are stakeholders that should be held with equal level of concern about your relationship with them as your customers and your employees. You tell me, again, whatever you happen to have, let's say Ecolab is your person that delivers all your stuff. Ecolab, you lose them. You're all gonna be scrambling pretty quick to be able to get that turned around, and that can have a very negative effect on your ability to deliver your services to your clients. So we wanna know if we got a bad relationship with a vendor, or we wanna know if we're doing good. Okay, those little things. But that's it, just five minutes. Someone's running the stop clock. Hey, Sally did really great. Her training has been fantastic. Cool, we love to hear that. Great headline for Sally. Michael came in and absolutely redid our IT structure and we're doing great. Cool, solve that email issue, whatever it is, great. That's it. If you need to have a discussion about something, i.e. we got kid sniffles going on, hey, we probably want to talk about this because the sniffles here will touch this group over here, which we're gonna have patient 0, and now we're gonna be dealing with, bird's eye flu going with everyone. We want to talk about that, right?
Is that a thing? Bird's eye view flu?
No, bird flu is a thing.
Bird's eye view and bird flu.
And bird's eye also does frozen vegetables too, which was the guy's last name who figured that out. It's a really great story. For another day, we'd put it on the list if we wanted to discuss it. Okay, so everybody doing pretty well? We're doing good? Let's go to the next page. All right, to-do list. Review tasks assigned last week, check completion status. We're still in reporting mode. To-do list. Hey, we're gonna walk out of, so when we walk out of this meeting we're in right now, right? We're gonna skip ahead. We're gonna transport in the future. Future's over here, we're gonna transport over here for a second. Okay, we need you to do this, you to do this, and you to do that. Break. Everyone's got it. It's in the meetings, we know. We're gonna come back over here to next week. Yo, did you do that? Did that get done? How'd that go? And just see where they're at. They're not rocks. They're just, hey, we need someone to go check in on Mrs. Smith because that account is important. We want to just check in. Who's got it? Oh, you do. Cool. Let us know next week. Let us know how it is. That's what to-do lists are, okay? That's not rocks. Rocks are longer-term projects. And I know at first a lot of folks struggle with the difference between those. I don't want you struggling with them. Just understand, if it's going to take you a couple months to do and has typically a high capital resource allocated to it, that's kind of like a rock. To include time and energy. So if you're redoing processes, right, rebuilding those out, that means you are going to be putting money into that in the way of time and energy with people. That would be a rock, longer term. But if something to get done in a couple days or a week, that's to-do list. All right, so that's for reporting mode. How's everybody doing on reporting mode? Everybody got that? We're just talking. We're not debating, we're not having anything. All right, so with that.
It's hard sometimes to keep them on, to like, not to go into.
I know, and it's your job. You get to tell them.
You have a tangent person.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the person usually with the, hey, stop. We just want words, not discussion. Sorry, and just keep them on it. It's okay. And here's the thing, don't worry about hurting people's feelings, because if they want to talk about it, list. Okay? All right, so we're going to get ready to transition over to our discussion mode. Before we do that, everybody just stand up for a second. I just need y'all to stand up and just, let's do this. I know this stuff is, yes, there you go. Let's get that blood in. There we go. Look how much, trust me, I know after lunch, I got it. It's one of my least favorite things to coach after. So, and she did great because she had you all really sleepy right after lunch. I got you at least a little post that, okay? Okay. Well, you got that good stretch? We got the oxygen back in there. Can we feel it, right? Moving, good. Okay, let's keep on rolling, folks. How are we doing on time? All right.
Sorry.
Okay, folks, let's cycle back in. Listen, if y'all need to get food and snacks while I'm talking, if you guys are at the other end of the beach, I can get you to hear me. Do your thing, okay? So let's talk about IDS. This is your identify, discuss, and solve. We are now in discuss, solve mode. This is the list. No. We want lots of talking. Yeah, I know. This is, here they have 60 minutes. In this particular L10, they have 60 minutes. My teams do 45. We do 45 minutes. We're like, no, we cut that list down. We want less talking. And did we start at 60? Of course we did, with the goal of getting to 45. Every minute that we are in this meeting, we are not making money somewhere else. Somebody needs our help, right? Organized training and equipping. So, I love the phrase on this one I got, the meat of the meeting. I was like, hey, we'll keep that in there. I like that. So we're gonna list all the current issues. We're gonna list them all, right? Everything's been thrown on the list. We're gonna rank order them in order of importance.
Do you have them list them before, bring them with them, or no?
What do you mean?
You said you have them list them all.
Yeah, there's a list. You keep a copy of the active list.
Okay.
And you have a running list that just shows, and everybody say, hey, I want to talk about this. Throw it on the list. It doesn't even need to be during the meeting.
Okay.
Someone's like during the week, say, hey, I want to talk about this. They throw it on the list.
Okay.
Every week, you're going to go back through and rank order them 1 through 6. 1 being the mostest importantest of them. 6 being like, why is this on the list? That is where you go. Yes?
Does that mean each of those 6 that you
Correct.
can get 10 minutes?
Well, every one of those that are on the list, you're going to order them as the most important. And you're going to start with the most important one at the top and discuss it. And we're going to talk about it. No time limit. And that's why I was saying your list should be like this. We want little lists, right? Because what are we talking about? 7 days. Right? What's the next most important thing for the next 7 days? You have other meetings and stuff. If you need to have bigger discussions on your rocks, there's separate meetings for those. Right? Because they're projects. You're going to have someone's in charge of the project. They're having a project meeting over here. They're bringing in all the people. Of course, they're putting how much the cost is at the top of their meeting. right? Because that's happening outside of this. This meeting is a coordination meeting. This is an information gap closing meeting. This is simply next 7 days, what are we doing meeting. So when we look at this list, we're looking for the most importantest, right? That's what we want, number one. And we're gonna,
Prioritization based on, like, do you do that in the meeting?
yes, you all agree on it. Everyone on the team agrees on it. That's the piece where I want you guys to remember that. It's extremely important with that rank order on on your list. The team has to agree. What's your name again? I know you're in mid-cookie, I'm sorry. Jenna. Jenna comes in, Jenna's like, yo, I got this idea. And now the rest of the team goes like this. No, Jenna, we don't like that. This is what's on fire. That is a boo down here. Wow. Guess what, Jenna? To the bottom of the list.
That's what Janet gets fired everybody.
Yeah. And
we're talking about this.
And you know what and it's funny about that. Every one of my owners has called me after the first meeting when their team told them their priority was wrong. Every one of them said, man, I was misaligned with my team. I came ready to talk about this, and they said, no, this. And they came and we talked about this thing that I was off for my team. That's the reason we have everyone agree. So yes, absolutely, Jen's like, I understand, but I have my scepter, this is my throne and my crown, and this, rah, rah, rah. However, we want your leadership team, the folks that are in this meeting, everyone, if they all are ganging up against you, you're wrong. Something in the way that you're doing is wrong, and they're telling you this by that. So we want to take that as a W. If that ever happens, when it happens, you should be the happiest people on the planet. And they all call me like, it finally happened. I was like, cool, what did you mess up? I use a different word, but we'll say mess up for this one. And we talked through what happened. And it's like, okay, here's your opportunity. So when your people come to you and they say there's a problem, you want to solve that, right? So if you're misaligned with your team and they all tell you, you get an opportunity to get a big old W by realigning and help them solve the biggest thing that you weren't aware of. Yes?
Sorry, I have kind of a silly question, but
No.
is this meeting supposed to be with every team member?
It's with whoever is in your leadership team is. Okay, now these same principles, my favorite part about this, take the best of this and just distill it down through the rest of your teams for your supervisors, things like that. I have, if you go to my website, summitbusinessguys.com, I had a card in there, you guys can find me. I have a online course it's called Effective Coaching Conversations. Did you guys come through Effective Coaching? Yeah, okay. So they got the last year's version. I've made updates to it where it's on my 7th revision. I revise this thing all the time because I'm learning. Yeah. I'm getting feedback from folks. There's an online course you can order, and I actually give you a hardcover book on not hardcover, but a physical book. I give books out for everything, but it's a checklist on how to have those difficult conversations. It's coaching. I also come and do it in person. It's a whole other thing. But the reason I'm bringing that up is your folks, when they understand how to have that conversation with you and they actually do it in this meeting, you are going to be the happiest people on the planet for 5 minutes until you realize it's a problem that you got to fix. I cannot overstate. Every time I've had my team basically throw a coup on me, I've been like, oh man, I am offline. Thank you. Let's get this fixed. Let's figure it out. Okay, so that's why we won in this meeting, right? So we got the voting. Now we've decided of our very few things that are on this list, because imagine if you have 25 things on this list and you have to rank order them. Really? How fun is that? Yeah, ooh. Think you guys can agree on how to rank 25 different things? Probably not. That's what I mean. We want the list small. Next 7 days. Now, yes, there may be stuff you don't get to for a couple weeks. Cool, throw a 6 on it. We'll talk about it next week. What happens if you do that 3 weeks in a row? It shouldn't be on the list. It shouldn't be on the list because it's obviously not that important. So talk to them offline. And that's the thing I want you to keep in mind. It's not that it's not important to talk about. It's not important for that meeting. So have a separate meeting with them. Talk about it. It's okay. It's cool. Everyone will be fine with it. They'll love it. All right. Well, ish. Okay, we'll go with that. So continuing down the line here. So we're going to identify, again, discuss. We're going to talk about root causes. You guys, I'm not going to get into how to do OODA loop and those different things. If you guys don't know OODA loop, check it out. Observe, orient.
How do you spell that?
OODA. It's OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Then you observe, orient, decide, and act. It's this little loop thing. But it's where you get into root cause analysis. Okay, it's one of the many ways you can do it.
So exciting.
Oh,
Sorry.
no worries. Okay, and then again, solved. And here's the thing: they use the word solved. Yes.
Repeat it one more time.
Yeah, it's OODA loop. OODA loop. It's observe, loop, like a feedback loop. Fruit loops. Whatever loop you want to. Pretty cool thing. I got in the military. We use it for everything. All my teams, we operate under it. It's a thing. But yeah, research it. It's a simple, it's nothing difficult, guys. That's why I was saying. All right, but anyways, there's other methods for root cause analysis. That's what I'm saying. Find the one that works best for you, and you want to have that. And when you get into the solving piece, I want you to, it says solved. I want you to say, when instead of solved, best idea for solved. Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to test it. You're going to see, did we actually solve this or not? And you're going to have a feedback function that's going to be like, did we solve this or not? And chances are good, you solved it to like 80%. There's going to be some stuff that needs to be tweaked. This meeting should never be fire and forget. Like, yo, you did the thing? Cool. No, we want to be like, wait. 2 weeks later, yo, the thing. Is the thing still the thing? And you're like, we're good, cool. A month later, yo, the thing is, we want to make sure we're following up and feedback, okay? It's super important. All right, so that's 60 minutes in here. Y'all shoot for 45. You can do it. I believe in all of you. You can get there. All right, so we're going to conclude with cascading messages. Summarize key points and actions for communication down to other team members or departments. Cascading messages. Who does what by when? It's not Bill does the thing by Tuesday, because that's not when. That isn't by when. Bill does the thing by Tuesday at 2 p.m. That's the when. Like that, it's not close of business. Because when's close of business? Oh, whenever they finish up. No, by 4 o'clock, because guess what happens at 4:05? I don't see the thing from Bill. Bill, where's the thing? Because you gave Bill till 4:05, just, internet's doing its thing, right? And then, okay, it's not here. Now it's time to get in, because what we want to be, we don't want you thinking about it. Who does what by when? You can turn it off. Put it in your calendar. I'll think about this at 4:05 on Tuesday. I don't have to think about it because Bill's got it. Right? You guys take the monkey, put it on Bill. Go have fun, Bill. That's your thing now. I don't have to worry about it, which is what you all need to do better. Yeah, I know y'all don't. I know y'all don't delegate. Don't even I know. Listen, I know these groups. What's that?
I know these groups. Don't try to stereotype.
Okay, Leonard.
I love delegating.
Everyone but Leonard, because even I have a difficult time delegating. We like to do things, right? This is an entire room full of doers.
That's
okay?
right.
And I understand. I just don't care. Give it to Bill. Okay? That's the difference. This is where, again, if you want to have these businesses, what you got to have, all right? Okay, but these cascading messages. You are making decisions here on things that need to be done by people by a time. So Bill needs to figure this out, right? Maybe Bill's not the guy that does it. Bill has other people. Whatever, you're going to make sure that those messages are all figured out with the time that they're going to be delivered to those individuals. Right? If you're making decisions, it's got to filter down to the folks. This is the time where you're saying, I'm going to have the conversation with my team tomorrow at 8 o'clock at our morning meeting. This is what, and then I'll report back when it's done. Cool, with any information that happened off of this thing. Because remember, like saying, so let's say on the list, it's information from your team saying, I need help with this. I heard it earlier. You guys got to do better getting back with your teams. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Something happens, it's been brought up from someone, you're going to report back to them, then report back to the team as a whole that it's been done. Okay? Closing communication gaps. Because it was brought up because a decision needed to be made, right? Came from somewhere, y'all got to talk to them. That's what, okay? Good? Okay, cool. All right. I just got this look. She's like, oh gosh, lady, so much talking. Again, tips for success. We're going to reiterate a few things here. Meetings exist to close communication gaps. I want you to have this piece here, that information, all right? The communication gap it's closing is there's an information gap somewhere. in your process, every time you're having to make a decision, it takes time to get in this methodology. It takes a long time and discipline to do this, guys. So don't think this is next week like, man, I got this. I'll remember every time to be like, oh, we had this issue. Let me pull out the process sheet. Y'all got the process sheet. Crap, we got to build a process sheet first. Okay. Like, that's what I'm saying, to be able to go and say, this is where the issue happened and this is how they weren't able to make a decision. Somewhere in your hierarchy, in your processes, folks aren't able to make decisions on their own because they may not have the full this goes kind of deep on this stuff here, but we're gonna give it a try. They may not have a full understanding and the vibe of your core values on how you would expect them to act at that moment. Because they may not have clarity, because we're dealing with people here. And I know y'all in service, so you're gonna be dealing with lots of people. You can't have everything processed out. So your job with your core values, your mission, vision, values, is to be able to like, all right, here's my decision tree. I need to go left or right. Again, Jenna gave me her name. Jenna, how would Jenna do this? Jenna, go left. Well, I'm going left then. That's what you want to be able to have. So that's where I work in those axioms. And I called them key business drivers in another world. But it was like neat and tidy. Hey, should I run my vehicle through the car wash because I'm getting ready to go to see a new client? Does it look neat and tidy on the outside? No. Then get run it through the car wash, right? We want to show up in clean vehicles. That's what I'm saying. So if they're having this difficulty, you want to look at your process and say, why weren't they able to make the decision that we would make up here? Like that's where I want you all living in. Like, what's keeping them from being able to do that? They know you. They know who you all are. They work with you. And if they did know what to do, why didn't they make that choice? Were they worried about getting fired? We heard earlier about, you were talking about where they feel, all right, and they're emotional. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, y'all familiar with that? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, base level, food, water, clothing, shelter. I start with that assumption that they're worried about getting fired. If I'm the person that says this, I might get fired. Your job is to let them know we want to hear it and we love you for it and we're not going to fire you. We want to hear all the stuff that's not going right. It's okay. Now, if you willfully do something wrong, we're going to punch you or you're gone. But if it's, I didn't know what to do and I made a decision, it was wrong, we're going to coach them why y'all should have went left instead of right. Okay? So, but that's when we're talking about this information piece. When you're doing your processes, it should be funneling information up to your L10 meeting. So you can do your management thing, your leadership thing. Everything that you do should be funneling information on how your processes are working, so when you are in that meeting, you can make better decisions. If you don't have information in that meeting, your processes aren't right. Even if they work perfectly. Just because they're working, there's a second layer of that. That information has to flow. I know I keep beating this up, but we're talking about meetings. It's about information, okay? I want to make sure we get it. All right, same thing we talked about, that information. Every meeting should have the cost calculated and published for sure. And then the common pitfalls to avoid. How am I doing on time? I think I'm like 5 minutes late. Ooh, almost there.
406.
Okay.
402.
Okay.
That's fast.
Okay, so I had an hour. We're gonna run a little bit late. I apologize, unless y'all just tell me we're done and we quit, which is fine too. No, I'm just playing. All right, so common pitfalls to avoid. We've talked about a bunch of them already. Time management. Give someone the clock, respect the clock. If you can't meet the time, do better next week. That's what I want. That's the attitude I want you all to have on that with time management, okay? If you can't get things done in the time frame you have, do better. Better discipline, better focus. Lack of preparation. The hallmark of a professional is proper preparation. Carissa said something to me when I showed up today. What did you say?
That I like that you showed up so much earlier.
Absolutely, yes. I always come early to every one of these things. I wouldn't know what to do just showing up and be like, yo, I'm here, guys. Let's talk about, no, I can't. You want to be prepared. Like, I got notes all on my little scribble scribe here. Make sure I'm saying, I want to be good. But that's what you want for your teams. You do not want like this. All right, I made it. And then this going on, right? Remember we talked about segue? Segue's for those people. But we're going to talk to those people. Segue's for those people. Guess what we're going to talk to those people about? We don't want to hear we do not want to hear paper ruffling and all that stuff and disrupting everybody else during the segue. So that's a coaching moment. Okay? And here's the deal. Yes, I brought a camera feed from your place. I was using it as an example saying, don't be like this. No, but again, when you talk about that piece with that proper preparation, folks come in ready to work. If your team rolled out to a client without any of their cleaning supplies, y'all lose your minds. Why is it okay to show up to a meeting not prepared? Especially when it's got that dollar value assigned right here. Why is that okay? The short answer is it's not. Okay, all right. But you have to set that example. And you have to hold people to it. I have fired people for showing up late to meetings. I talked to them, they showed up again late. I said, this is your last one. If you come through that door late, just turn right around. They never even showed up. They knew they were done. I sent their stuff, put it in a box, gave them the letter in the mail, said, HR, do your thing, they're done. I will not have people disrespecting the time of everybody else on the team that's prepared. Okay, got to remember that. You got people that are super important to your team, right? They're linchpin. I love consultant speak, they're a linchpin. Guess what? There's 1,000 of them out there. You can find another one. All of these different things, okay? Remember, it's how they're affecting the team. And when you have this 90 minutes, the most important 90 minutes that you have, because you're up for the next week. All right. And then skipping IDS. Don't rush through problem solving, it's crucial. All right? You got 60 minutes, we'll be generous, to go through this. Don't just rush to get through it. You should have a plan on each one of the issues that you come with the who does what by when, what's this look like, what is your potential solve, and when are they reporting back. Right? Standard problem solving execution steps. Don't rush through it. Just because you are satisfied, again, I keep pointing in the middle here, I'm gonna go back here. Just because you are satisfied with the answer, but your team, if you get the vibe that they're not there, slow down. Ask the questions. Man, I'm not feeling it from you. This doesn't seem right. What did we miss? Speak up. Don't rush through it. Give everybody a chance to say their words. Because you hire really smart people to work for you, so let them use their brains. Let them use their mouth. That's what we got them there for. All right, follow up. Failure to follow up is the number one reason why, frankly, y'all don't get anywhere with your businesses.
Meanie.
Yes. Yes, I am. But failure to follow up is the main reason y'all are just stuck on a plateau. You can't get any traction. You have your great ideas. You've got, man, we got this. This is cool. Do the thing. And we assume the thing's done. And one of the phrases I got really early in life from my grandpa was, saying something once is same as saying it, not at all. Then he added to that. He's like, saying something twice is the same as saying something once. So say it 1,000 times. Just say it and say it and say it. It's that follow-up piece. So when I say every one of your processes, this includes these meetings, has to have a feedback function in it, which means follow-up. We made an assumption during this IDS. We came up with a plan. We executed on the thing. Did it suck? We don't know unless there's follow-up. On the flip side of that, was it awesome? We also don't know because there's no follow-up. Okay? So follow-up is the most important thing you're doing. Think about the scientific method. It's all about testing hypotheses, right? I got an idea, so let's go test the thing. They don't just stop there. They say, what happened when we tested the thing? It worked. Can we learn from it? It got us 80% of the way there. Cool. How do we figure out the next 20%? Like, that's what I'm talking about here, folks. The reason that you're not getting traction on, especially on your meetings, the follow-up piece isn't there, your feedback function. And that's the way these L10 meetings are designed. If you look at it, We start off with a constant flow of information coming to you. How are things going? You're not talking about it, you're just getting feedback. Data, 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 data. Now you've got the data. Now we're gonna talk about it. And we're gonna make an assumption for the next 7 days. Then we're gonna get data on again. It just keeps going. But you have to have the discipline to follow the structure and understand this piece, okay? So, we call ours, in the Pinnacle group that I work with, we call them tactical meetings. Ours actually are even refined, even more narrow, but I went with L10. That's what I was asked to do. I pay attention when people ask me questions to make sure I follow through. And so I really want you to have this piece. Before I open up for questions, one thing, you talk about strategy back there, okay? Michael Porter. Michael Porter is the dude when it comes to strategy. He's the first person to write actual, it's not in the document here, so that's what I say, Michael Porter, but I want to talk about it real quick, is the guy who wrote about strategy, did scientific actual research on it, on business strategy, okay? And one thing I want to add to, again, her work on strategy, communication, I loved every bit of it. I was taking notes back there, awesome, but I want to add something. So strategy is not about doing what everyone else does and doing it better. Your strategy is not to be the best cleaning service out there in the world. That is not strategy. That's called business operations. Strategy is what is it that you are doing that is different? What are you doing that's different? What's your differentiator? This takes time to figure out, guys. It really does. And I'm going to share from the Holy Donut here. Again, I'd love to be able to go and put all this into practice in real time. Plus I could get coffee and donuts anytime I want. It was great to be able to practice and do all this businessy stuff and strategy. So what we figured out our strategy was really simple. Our strategy was to cultivate nostalgia. Remember what I said I like little things? Right? Now nostalgia is a negative emotion. It's actually a bad feeling.
What?
Nostalgia is a bad feeling. You feel bad when you're not somewhere. You're nostalgic to return to the happiness and sugar and caffeine that we had here. We want people thinking about that. You're in the nostalgia. So all of you don't realize this, y'all in the nostalgia business. I can't overstate, in the service world, you're in the nostalgia business. We want, if anybody happens to leave you for whatever reason, they chase a cheaper, right? We all know the cheaper folks that are down the road that say, I can do it for this. We want them to feel awful. Be like, man, I remember how I felt over there. And then they come back with their wallet. That's what we want. All right? And the way that you do that, and okay, this word, I'm not even gonna try to spell it for y'all. It's understanding the term, it's a literary term. It's called haxaity. It's Old English. I'm sorry, but it's the word, right? Just like nostalgia is the word, haxaity is the word. And it's thisness is the way it's defined. It's fully understanding every aspect of the senses that the individual has in a moment in time. Understand, and when you think about when you're dealing with your clients, you are focused on haxaity, right? But you don't even realize it was a thing. That experience. I don't know about taste. I'm not sure with you guys on taste. Let's throw it in there for fun. Why not taste, right? Well, let's say, but yeah, we're gonna put taste over here. All right, but the rest of the senses they got going on here, right? Tell me y'all aren't extremely focused on what that's supposed to be. Your job is to maximize that experience to the level, right? And train your teams and get them to understand that, so that when your team is not there, that moment that they are finished and delivered on freshness and awesomeness and everything that you have in your core values, that person only wants to get back to that state. They will pay you money to get back to that state because nostalgia makes them feel bad. They remember how cool it was. Okay? So nostalgia, you want to cultivate as much nostalgia as possible so people will rush back to you to get your service. Does that make sense? Okay. Again, the word again is haxaity. I found it. I've been searching for that word for probably about 10 years, and it showed up on a YouTube thing one time. I was like, what is this word? They had a picture of a duck on there. I'm like, I don't know what this video is, but it's got a duck and a cool word. I'm gonna check it out. And he went and I'm like, this is the word. I saved it, favorited it, I wrote on it. It was great. So anyways, okay, so with that, any questions on these meetings?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, absolutely.
It's my ass chair.
Anything else? All right, so with that, you go to summitbusinessguides.com. I put my card in the thing there. Go check it out if you guys are curious to see some of the businesses that I have. I would highly recommend, and it's, you all go to YouTube. You can find me on there, the YouTube, but it's Ryan Howe SBG. You can find it. I put out videos all the time. Be sure to subscribe to me and just kind of, and check it out there. I'm constantly talking about the work that I'm doing with my clients, different things that are going on. I also do gardening on there too, so don't be surprised if you see me doing gardening, yeah. Don't be surprised if you're like, he's talking about time management skills and I'm over here saying, okay, working on my petunias, like, yes. Okay, so they're both. I do live stream in my garden and I do live stream for my business, so I've had people like crossing the streams and getting confused. Don't be confused. You can be multiple people. I'm multiple people on this thing, okay?
Is that what you do?
What's that? What's that?
No.
No.
I just asked her, is
No,
that
I
why
didn't know
she did
that.
that?
Yeah. So the other piece here, if you're on LinkedIn, go find me on LinkedIn. I also post links to my videos and other stuff on there. You can find me on LinkedIn. You don't want to see me on Twitter, mostly just shit posting. Facebook, Summit Business, I'm all over the place. You can find me on there. But if you go to summitbusinessguys.com, you'll see that information there. As always, if you guys have any questions, and this is the thing, if y'all just got questions, just send me a note. Y'all in the family here, so I'm more than happy to hop on a call if you got a question. Just we can get some time, okay? Awesome. So thank you people. Appreciate y'all. We're good. All right.